Hey look, we're back! Again! Welcome to today's video, which I'm gonna try to keep quick, short, and to the point because there's not a whole lot to unpack here, but I do feel obligated to keep you guys updated on the situation that's going on. Obviously, due to the title and thumbnail, you'll probably guess by now that this has to do with the delays for YBA, as well as actually getting a response from the people involved. Initially, I thought this was just going to end with the community post I made yesterday after I got a message from Snaliel, who, for those who don't know, is a visual effects designer for YBA, who effectively told me, and you can go read that entire post if you want, that the Sticky Fingers update was mostly delayed because he ran out of creative motivation. He was the sole person involved with visual effects and such on Sticky Fingers, and because of that, they could not put the update forward. He also mentioned a few other things, and I think those other things are the real reason that we got a response here, because, well, based on track records on the past, that's all I'll say there. But there were two things that were posted yesterday, one at 8:58 p.m. and one at 2:51 a.m. my time, so excuse me for not getting to these until the day after. I also initially wasn't going to respond to the first thing that Paragon put out because, I mean, there wasn't really anything to talk about. I thought it was pretty much over, that was a wrap, and evidently I was wrong, so moving forward. Anyways, Paragon's message. I don't want to really go through all of this because, like I said, there's not a whole lot to unpack here. Basically, he made a post. He addressed the fact that Snaliel mentioned in his message to me that Uzu rejected an announcement to the public, which we'll talk about in a second, and said that wasn't true. Said that this was the official statement and it was an apology for things taking so long. I thought this post was fine. I thought it was serviceable. I didn't think anything more needed to be said on it, but that didn't stop Uzu anyway, so it does give me a good chance to talk about some other stuff, because he mentioned some things in here that I sort of glossed over in my video that I do think are important to be addressed. So we're going to take a look at that now, and that's really the meat and potatoes of the video. So let's kick things off in standard Uzu fashion by not naming me, because apparently I don't exist. Some things I'd like to clarify from Snaliel's DM to a YouTuber, because he DM'd me without knowledge. For those who haven't been around for a while, Uzu has not once ever named me while addressing things that I've said. Way back when I said that I wanted answers for things in a sort of, you know, I want answers, please. He came back with a Q&A that just so happened to answer pretty much all of my questions, but not mention me. What a shock. So nothing new here, I just thought it would be funny to mention. But the first thing on here is that Snaliel said that he wasn't credited for his work, and Uzu says that he did credit Snaliel for his work every time, and he could have easily credited himself on Twitter, and that he retweeted all of his posts. I think that the whole idea of not getting credited for things was poorly worded on Snaliel's part, and I'm going to be speaking for them here, so if they want to refute this in the comments or send me a DM afterwards, then I'll pin the comment. But I don't think it was necessarily about not getting credit, but more not being known. That's the vibe that I got at the very least, and I do think it was poorly worded, and so I respect it being addressed here. Here's the deal. How many of you guys knew who Snaliel was comparatively to Uzu? How many of you guys credited Uzu for the updates versus Snaliel? Now you're probably starting to see the point. I think it's less that they didn't feel credited and more that they didn't necessarily feel appreciated. I imagine they probably felt like a cog in the machine and just not really that important, and never got sort of positive feedback for what they did comparatively to Uzu or maybe other people on the development team. That's conjecture. That's not based on anything other than just the vibes I got, but I don't think that Snaliel was coming on here on purpose to say, I never get credited for anything, they just don't credit me anywhere. I don't think that's true. Clearly not. Uzu himself says it. He's listed as the head of visual effects in the game's credits. Like, that literally is getting credited. So I think that there's more to meet the eye here. It's not necessarily just black and white. The second thing that Uzu said was that Snaliel was not allowed to make these types of announcements, so he had to resort to a YouTuber's DMs. He never even asked me or Paragon to announce this, and DMing a big YouTuber is the same as making a big announcement. Also, he had access to the announcement's channel the whole time. Now this is disingenuous at best. Come on. Who do you think is buying this? Because it ain't me and it's probably not anybody else. Even if there's not a direct rule saying, hey, you're not allowed to post things about the game or what's going on behind the scenes in the announcements channel, do you really honestly believe that one of your developers is going to believe it's okay to explain exactly what's going on over the head of the person who owns the game and likes to keep things lock and key all the time? Like, come on, really? You and I both know that this whole thing was simply sparked by my video. And I just want to say, by the way, that I am extremely grateful to Snaliel for reaching out to me, and also extremely grateful to them for reaching out to me over the years, because I've talked to them on several occasions about all varieties of different stuff, and they've always been nothing but helpful. And I have no reason to believe that they came to my DMs to do anything but try to make the game's environment better. And I hope this sort of sets a precedent. I don't think it will, but I hope it sets a precedent that the people should be updated as to what's going on. Because while it shouldn't have to be a head VFX developer who's coming on here and sparking all of this change, it also shouldn't be me. I shouldn't be the one solely responsible for people getting an apology for things taking forever, or having an understanding of why things are taking so long. Like, this is not something that I should have to spark. And it is. Like, you can't argue that it isn't. There's no possible way. And by saying that, I could be making things worse, because Uzu might think, okay, well, now I screwed up because I made a knee-jerk reaction to a YouTuber, and now he's gonna think that he can do whatever he wants with the game. I think me not playing has helped a little bit here. But regardless, come on. Seriously? We never said he wasn't allowed to make an announcement about what's taking so long. Right. Okay. Whatever. Now, the next thing on here is Snaliel says that he was put with consistent pressure to keep up high-quality work. I don't believe I was putting Snaliel in an environment with this much pressure because he always takes a long time. Let me give a comparison. Compared to every other VFXer I've hired, and also including my own VFX, Snaliel takes 2 times or more as long. I also gave long deadlines as he wouldn't stress further, and he met most of the deadlines. However, I know his life was busy back then, but that should be canceled out for taking that long. Evidently, there was a time I was in VC with him and he actually worked normally, resulting in Space Rotor Stingy Eyes being made in less than a day. I don't have much to say here because I don't have background. This feels like kind of petty and dragging Snaliel through the mud, basically saying you take too long. But I suppose that's all fair if Snaliel said the exact opposite. So this is he said, she said. Nothing to cover here. Moving on. The next one is important because I think a lot of people miss this. So I'm glad Uzu put it in here. And it says that Snaliel says he's responsible for visual animations, visual effects, and to clear up confusion, visual animations are particles. The character animations are done by Stuxdux and Nymphe. Sorry if I pronounced those names wrong. But yes, I saw a lot of people thinking that the animations and stuff, because Snaliel said that he did visuals, so a lot of people just equate visuals with animations. No, these are not visual animations. These are particle effects. That doesn't make it any easier. Making good particle effects is obviously not easy and it takes time. But regardless, it's not like Snaliel is in charge of the particles and the animations and everything else. It's not super important to the question at hand. But I do think it's an important distinction to make because some people were a bit confused there. And then the sort of final thing on here, or at least the final numbered thing, is that Snaliel says he does not know what is with the lag from abilities, but particles, aka visual effects, is the main source of lag. For example, Killer Queen has extremely simple abilities but lag the most. This is purely because of visual effects, but this isn't his fault because it's just Roblox particles being laggy in exchange for looking good. This is not what I was talking about. So this is really important. This is one of those really important things that I hope Uzu ends up seeing this video. I think he will. I know Paragon will, so hopefully he can pass some of this stuff on. But I was not talking about FPS lag. I thought I made that clear in my video, but evidently not. I'm not talking about FPS lag. I'm talking about visual and server-side lag that is then leading to a poor play experience. And there are a lot of examples of this on top of just regular total jank that should have been patched by now after hours and hours and years and whatever of this game being out. and aren't. And there's just not really an excuse for it anymore. And it's one of those things that, like I said, I played for an hour. Some people asked how long I played for. There was one particular jackass in my DM who knows exactly who they are, and I know they're watching this video, who argued with me to the death about hitboxes and lag and stuff. So I hope they see this part of the video, because I'll be proving myself, even though I did in my previous video, but whatever, that there's a lot of stuff going on that I, after playing for an hour at about 10 p.m. at night on my region, which is not that late, and considering that I can connect with people like 2 hours away from me, you know, at about 100 ping or so on the West Coast, and for them it's 8 p.m., not really an excuse. There were some real connection issues and stuff like that, and that's what we're gonna talk about right now. I'm just gonna go through a few of them so you can have a better understanding of what I was actually complaining about, because these are real problems that you are going to run into. So take a look. Here's the first clip. You're watching it, probably innocently enough. Doesn't seem like there's that much wrong. Let's go back and watch it in slow-mo though. Did you miss anything? Yeah, you did. Where'd that M1 go? No, seriously, where did it go? I mentioned in my video that it felt like hitting people sometimes I could equate to trying to poke someone with like a pinprick. And this is what I'm talking about. This attack vanished. It's gone. This is a fighting game. In fighting games, your inputs mattering and your hitboxes coming out are very important. And an attack missing at literal point blank range, where it has no business missing, how is that allowed? How is this game that has so many players getting away with something like that? And that's reliable. This kind of stuff happens all the time. And likely it won't be as obvious as this, so you'll miss it. But this is really bad. Here's another one. This one's pretty self-explanatory. Zoom! Yeah, the pilot thing just like spins around and throws you 8 miles off the map. I don't know how this happens. I don't know why this happens. I don't know how long it's been broken like this, but it happens a lot and makes using that move just kind of suck sometimes. Here's another one of those things that's just, it feels like it shouldn't matter that much, but when it comes to a polish perspective, it matters, and surely it can't be that hard to fix this. Stonefree's baseball beatdown thing, yeah, when you finish it, it just faces you away from where you just were. It doesn't face you towards the opponent, so you need to do a almost 180 to look at where your opponent is now. It feels like a small minor thing, but YBA is a massive game with massive funding. Stuff like this should not be excused. Here's some ragdoll jank for you. Teleport. Yeah, it gets worse from here though, don't worry. This one I'm on the receiving end of. How did that miss? No, seriously, how did this miss? I walked directly through the move. I should have been physically inside of the hitbox, but it didn't hit me. And beatdowns, notoriously, at least from my experience in the past, they had massive hitboxes that were often quite difficult to miss. So how they could have missed this bad while I dashed directly into their hitbox, I don't have any words. And it's one of those things where I have to question whether or not the hitboxes are the same ones that I played with previously, or if there's some sort of back-end issue running. Because I just went through this. Like, there's no other way to look at this other than I passed through their attack. This is one of the better ragdoll ones. Boop, gone. What? How did he get over there? Are you kidding me? How about this one? So I ragdoll them, I grab them, they recover in the air from my attack, and if you look closely on a slow motion, you can see that my very first M1 just directly passes through them and does no damage. Yeah, what a disaster. And the final clip on here is the most egregious. Where is he? What? How did he get all the way over there? How? He was right in front of me, and I hit him up, and then he vanished, and now he's behind me. What the fuck? So at this point, surely you've gotta be seeing what I'm talking about. I feel like there's no way you couldn't. If you can look at all of these examples and be like, that's probably fine. I don't know what to tell you. And if you're Uzuki or someone on the dev team or you're Paragon and you're looking at these things and you're thinking, that's probably fine, good God help us. And I'm sure there are going to be a lot of people that are going to come in and they're going to say, Eclipse, this is caused by desync on the server and the client, yada, yada, yada. It's caused by high lag, and that's not an excuse. these people that I'm playing against are still able to play the game. So whatever ping they're on is enough that they can play. And if the discrepancy between their ping and playing against me makes it so that way they teleport around like a psychopath, that's a real problem. And you need to find some sort of workaround so this stuff doesn't happen. In terms of hitboxes, I don't see how you could say that's tied to the ping. These people are standing directly in front of me, and my attacks are missing. Right there, the attack is passing through their character. You can see the fist contact their character, and it does nothing. Using the "it's high ping, so it's okay for things to be broken or look terrible" is not an excuse, because the reality of the day is, while playing this game, there are going to be points where you play on a high ping. I understand, or assume, that with the 1v1s rework, you're going to have a region selector. But 1v1s are not the only thing in this game. If you join your friend from another country and you're in their main game server, this stuff's gonna happen. If you join an SBR and it happens to be in a region that's not yours, this is gonna be a problem. If people that are from those regions, like in these examples where I have good ping and they do not, and they join in from other places in the world, these things are gonna happen. So high ping is not an excuse. Something has to be, or should be, done here. Because in the current state that the game is in, this stuff is a problem and makes the game feel significantly worse to play. Anyways, that's rant over in terms of lag and hitboxes. I just thought that was really important to address because I got slandered on my Discord DMs by some asshole. In here, Uzu didn't understand what I was talking about when I was talking about lag, because I don't really suffer from FPS lag for the most part. So yeah, that's that. Moving forward to the very end of the message, I know we got a bit sidetracked there, and now this video is not going to be as short as it was supposed to be. God damn it. The last thing on here is Uzu just talking about Snaliel. Snaliel is my good friend aside from being a developer, so I really believe he did not say any of this false information on purpose. I don't think he did either. Please do not spread any hate towards him. I also said that in my community post, because that is the last thing that YBA needs. All of what I said is only to defend the dev team from false misunderstandings. I think that's fair enough, aside from maybe the announcement thing, because that was kind of eh. Aside from Sticky Fingers, I would take responsibility and bear the blame for 1v1's ranked rework taking this long. I tasked myself to completely code it without help, which obviously overloaded me more than I expected. Recently, I've hired someone to help with part of it, but I'm still doing roughly 70% of the work myself, so bear with me because I really want to finish this now. That statement right there is the kind of thing that we should be getting. That is 100% fair and appreciated. That is the kind of stuff that should not be have to be prompted by me. And I want to say that whether it's prompted by me or not, this is clearly something that Uzu would not have done a year ago. So change is there. I've said it a bunch that it's the same old Uzu, yada, yada, yada. That's bullshit. I take that back. This would not have happened a year ago. Nobody would have said anything a year ago. So thank you to Uzu for that. That final sentence, that should have been in the announcements a week ago. But even if it's not, and even though it's here now, it's something to be commended. And the other thing at the end of here is also, I think, important, is a lot of people see this as drama. Of course they do. If you know me and you've been around for a while, you know that I do not like drama. And I don't think this is drama. Whether you believe it is or not, that's up to you. I think this is trying to get things on the right track. And I want to make it clear that I didn't try to make this drama either, and my goal is not to tear down YBA. I've said this 1,000 times, and I'll continue saying it. He says, let's stop this unnecessary drama here. I don't even want to call this drama. That I couldn't agree more with. This is all a misunderstanding because I know Snaliel did not mean any malice and bad intentions. And let's be honest, YBA needs every single person on the dev team and not less. Let's not discourage the team any further. As Snaliel mentions, he works with motivation, and so does most of the team, and we will need as much positivity as possible. And you know what? I agree with that. I think good vibes are in order for this whole situation, because regardless of what it was kicked off by, or the reasons for it being kicked off, I think that all of this is a positive experience, and hopefully a stepping stone for positive change. I never made my previous video with the express purpose of starting drama or dragging people through the mud. I made that video because people wanted answers and they weren't getting them. And you know what? As a result of that, people got their answers. And I think the same thing goes for Snaliel. I don't think they reached out with the express purpose of dragging Uzu through the mud or saying this is all his fault. And I think it's pretty clear by the way he worded his message to me that that's also not what he was trying to do. I think he felt underrepresented in the community for the work that he does, and maybe over-exaggerated a few things in order to make his case look a little bit better. But we all do that in a heated moment, so I'm not gonna throw too much blame there. And of course, I think the exact same thing went on here with Uzu. I think some of the stuff on here, he probably knows is a bit of a stretch, like the inability to make announcements, which if you literally go to the announcements channel and scroll up will pretty much prove itself to you. But regardless, this is where things end for now. Hopefully in the future, I can come on here to give you better news, because while this isn't bad news, it's also not necessarily good news. I'm also hoping that people will see the middle of my video where I discussed a lot of these very obnoxious problems that happen consistently and maybe look into ironing those out, because I just don't see how you could not know about this stuff. That's not true. Yes, I can. They don't play the game very much. And I don't either, and even I ran into this stuff. So I don't know. But anyways, that's it for now. Of course, naturally, if you enjoyed the video, you got something from it, then you can leave a like and subscribe. If you didn't, don't. And with all that being said, have a wonderful day or night wherever you are, and I'll see you next time.